What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Hope you all are having a blessed Monday. Now that the preseason has come and gone, we get to talk about some football that means something. With that being said, we have some breaking news regarding Pro Bowl running back Joe Mixon. The news comes from the Houston Texans themselves. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we will officially move running back Joe Mixon from the active non-football injury list to the reserve non-football injury list. Players placed on the reserve non-football injury list may begin to practice and play after the club's fourth game of the regular season. We will provide further updates at an appropriate time. So it looks like the Houston Texans will be without Joe Mixon for the first month of the season. But then when you look at the schedule after that fourth week, it's the Baltimore Ravens. Do you want to play Joe Mixon in his first game back against them? I will lean towards no. The following week, it's a bye week for the Houston Texans. The Texans have an early bye week this year. Then after that week, it's Monday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks. So realistically, I think Joe Mixon might be back between week 7 and 8. Hell, let me throw in 9 there too. This is a huge blow to the Houston Texan offense. There's no other way to look at it. Last season, Joe Mixon, 1,000-yard rusher, double-digit touchdowns, was one of the only things working on offense all year last year for the Texans. With that being said, I'm frustrated. I didn't know this injury was that bad. We didn't see Joe Mixon at all during training camp. We didn't see him at all during the preseason. Now, of course, I don't expect Joe Mixon to play at all during the preseason, but training camp, of course, I expect a veteran, one of the captains on this team to be out there. The only time I saw Joe Mixon, aside from, him working out and stuff on his IG, was the podcast that he was on playing Madden, talking about his time with Cincinnati. This is a huge blow to the Houston Texan offense. Now, when you start having conversations about Nick Chubb, the conversations are no more, well, I hope he goes back to a 100% Nick Chubb, to, well, we need him to go back to 100%. I'm looking at rookie running back Woody Marks, who has looked good the last 2 weeks. Could he be a gem? What about Damian Pierce? Where does he fall into all this? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ruben Calvillo. This is the 713 Houston Sportcast, where I drop daily Houston Texans content. So please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for the latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. Well, to continue, your starting running back is now Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb has looked okay this training camp, this preseason. He definitely has gotten better as training camp has gone on. Now, I do have some confidence in Nick Chubb being out there because he's a veteran. At one point, he was one of the best running backs in the NFL. And if we're sticking to this 4 games that the Texans have told us, I can trust Nick Chubb for 4 games. I don't know if I could trust him for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. I don't know if I could trust Nick Chubb for 17 because of what I've seen the last 2 years from him. 2 years, season and injuries. Now the way we run the ball with Nick Chubb is going to be different. Because when we signed him, this is RB2. No question about that. Now being RB1. Now knowing that you have to take into fact that he has an injury history. He's slowly getting back to it. You look at the other guys, like I mentioned earlier. Rookie Woody Marks looked good against the Detroit Lions. Had a touchdown, had multiple catches. It's going to be next man up mentality. And I honestly do think Woody Marks might play significant amount of football early for you. Damian Pierce is interesting. Because there's still a lot of people on the fence on Dameon Pierce. There's some people who say he's back in the same style of offense where he flourished in year one, and we all remember year one Dameon Pierce. He was the only bright spot for the Houston Texans that year. You have the other side of the fence saying, we're now into year 4, year 5 of Dameon Pierce. I'm sorry you had your opportunities, but would like to see you elsewhere. Now, with the recent news of Joe Mixon not being here for the first 4 games, and you heard me say I don't think he's going to be back until week 7 or 8, I feel like you need to keep Dameon Pierce on this roster. You need to be looking at, any running backs on the free agent street. I got a feeling, though, that Woody Marks is going to be something in year 1. And it's only going to be because he's taking advantage of these opportunities. A Joe Mixon not being there the first 4 weeks. A Nick Chubb slowly working his way back from 2 years of season-ending injuries. This might be a prime golden opportunity for Woody Marks to immediately make his presence felt in Houston. And we've talked about you needing these day 1 rookies to have an impact. And we already talked about multiple rookies having an impact immediately as week 1. Ariante Ursery might be your starting left tackle. If he's not, he's going to be your starting right. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, they're going to be out there catching passes. Your 2 rookies on the defensive side, Jalen Reed, Jaden Smith, have had a fantastic training camp in preseason. Woody Marks, a running back with 2 aging veterans with injuries ahead of him. I think he's going to make a name for himself. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But once again, from the Houston Texans themselves, Joe Mixon will be placed on the non-football injury list, meaning he is out for the first 4 weeks of the season. For more Houston Texans content, you guys know what to do. Feel free to follow me for more. Go Houston. Have a very blessed day.